What if I told you that for nearly 18 years, a brilliant mathematician turned into America's most wanted terrorist, outsmarting the FBI at every turn while hiding in plain sight? Welcome to SherlockMode. May 25, 1978. Northwestern University in Illinois. Campus police officer Terry Marker opens what looks like an innocent package left near the engineering building. The explosion tears through his hands, marking the beginning of one of the longest manhunts in FBI history. This was no random act of violence. This was the first move in a deadly chess game played by a genius who would terrorize America for 2 decades. A man so careful, so methodical, that he left no fingerprints, no DNA, no trace of his identity. Tedkaczynski was born on May 22, 1942, in Chicago. By age 10, he scored 157 on an IQ test. He skipped grades, excelled in mathematics, and seemed destined for greatness. But something dark was growing inside this brilliant mind. At Harvard University, Ted became the youngest professor in the school's history. But in 1971, he suddenly vanished from academic life, retreating to a tiny cabin in rural Montana. No electricity, no running water, just him, his thoughts, and a growing hatred for modern technology. What his colleagues didn't know was that Ted was building something in that isolation. Not just bombs, but an entire philosophy of destruction. He believed technology was destroying humanity, and he would stop it, one explosion at a time. After that first bombing at Northwestern, the attacks continued. May 9, 1979, another bomb at Northwestern University injured graduate student John Harris. The bomber was learning, getting better, more dangerous. November 15, 1979. American Airlines Flight 444 between Chicago and Washington. Smoke fills the cabin as 12 passengers struggle to breathe. The bomber had escalated from targeting individuals to an entire airplane full of innocent people. The FBI was baffled. They called the unknown bomber Unabomber, short for University and Airline Bomber. A task force was formed, but they were chasing a ghost who seemed to know their every move. June 10, 1980. Percy Wood, a United Airlines executive, opens a package at his Lake Forest home. The explosion nearly kills him. The bomber wasn't just targeting random victims anymore. He was choosing people connected to technology and industry. By 1982, the pattern was clear. Universities, airlines, technology companies. But the bomber made a crucial mistake. He was getting personal. July 2, 1982, University of California, Berkeley. Professor Diogenes Angelikos opens a package in his office. The explosion sends metal fragments tearing through Angelikos's body. Burns cover his hands and face. But he survives, and for the first time, investigators have a witness who can describe the package in detail. The bombs were becoming more sophisticated. Hand-carved wooden components. Untraceable materials. The bomber was an artist of destruction, and his masterpieces were getting deadlier with each creation. May 15, 1985. UC Berkeley again. Graduate student John Hauser loses fingers and partial vision in one eye. The bomber was returning to previous targets, taunting investigators who couldn't protect the places they thought were safe. The FBI was dealing with a criminal unlike any they had faced. This wasn't a serial killer driven by passion or greed. This was a methodical terrorist with an ideology, planning years in advance, leaving false clues to throw them off track. December 11, 1985. Sacramento, California. Hugh Scruton, owner of a computer rental store, walks behind his building and spots a piece of wood with nails sticking out. When he bends down to move it, the hidden bomb explodes. Hugh Scruton becomes the first person to die from an Unabomber attack. The stakes have changed. This is no longer just about injuries and fear. This is murder, and the bomber shows no signs of stopping. The task force grows to over 150 investigators. They analyze every piece of evidence, study every victim's life in minute detail, follow thousands of leads. But the bomber always stays one step ahead. February 20th, 1987. Salt Lake City. Gary Wright, owner of a computer store, survives a bombing but provides crucial details. The bomber is targeting technology specifically, but investigators still have no idea who he is or where he'll strike next. For 6 years, the bombing stops. The task force wonders if their suspect is dead, imprisoned, or simply planning something bigger. Then, June 1993, the silence breaks with a vengeance. June 23, 1993. Dr. Charles Epstein, a geneticist in Tiburon, California, opens a package at home. The explosion severely injures his hand. The next day, June 24th, Yale University computer scientist David Galernder barely survives a similar attack. The bomber is back, and he's deadlier than ever. These aren't random attacks anymore. He's specifically targeting geneticists and computer scientists. The future of technology itself is under assault. December 10, 1994. North Caldwell, New Jersey. Thomas Mosser, an advertising executive, opens a package at home with his family nearby. The explosion kills him instantly. His wife and children witness the horror. This is the turning point. The bomber has killed an innocent man in front of his children during the holiday season. Public outrage reaches a fever pitch. The pressure on investigators becomes enormous. April 24, 1995. Sacramento again. Gilbert Murray, president of the California Forestry Association, dies in another bombing. The killer is targeting environmentalism now, adding another layer to his twisted ideology. But then something unexpected happens. The bomber makes contact. He sends letters to newspapers, claiming responsibility and promising more attacks unless his demands are met. For the first time, investigators hear the bomber's voice. The demand is shocking. The bomber wants major newspapers to publish his 35,000-word manifesto about the dangers of technology. If they refuse, he promises to continue killing innocent people. This is the moment that changes everything. The FBI faces an impossible choice. Give in to a terrorist's demands, or let more people die. After intense debate, they decide to publish the manifesto. September 19, 1995. The Washington Post publishes the complete Unabomber manifesto. Millions of Americans read the bomber's words for the first time. His twisted philosophy spreads across the nation. The manifesto reveals a brilliant but disturbed mind. The bomber argues that technology is destroying human freedom and happiness. He sees himself as a revolutionary, saving humanity from itself through violence. Thousands of tips pour into the FBI. People suspect neighbors, coworkers, family members. But one call stands out from all the rest. A man named David Kaczynski has a terrible suspicion about his own brother. David's wife Linda recognizes something in the manifesto. The writing style, the phrases, even the ideas sound exactly like letters they've received from David's brother Ted over the years. David Kaczynski is torn apart by the possibility. Could his own brother, the math prodigy who retreated to Montana, really be America's most wanted terrorist? The evidence is overwhelming. February 1996. David provides the FBI with letters and documents written by his brother Ted. FBI linguists compare the manifesto to Ted's personal writings. The match is undeniable. The pieces all fit. Ted Kaczynski grew up in Chicago, taught at UC Berkeley where 2 bombs were placed, and lived near Salt Lake City before moving to Montana. The FBI finally has their suspect. April 3, 1996. FBI agents surround a tiny cabin in rural Montana. 20 miles from the nearest neighbor, Theodore Kaczynski has been living like a hermit for over 2 decades. When agents arrest the 53-year-old mathematician, he shows no emotion, no surprise, no resistance. It's as if he's been waiting for this moment for 18 years. Inside the cabin, investigators discover a terrorist workshop. Bomb components, detailed journals describing every attack, and 1 live bomb ready to be mailed to another victim. The journals contain 40,000 handwritten pages, bomb-making experiments, detailed plans for future attacks, the complete thoughts of a man who spent nearly 2 decades perfecting the art of terror. Theodore Kaczynski's reign of terror is over. 3 people dead, 23 injured, and an entire nation held hostage by fear. But the most shocking revelation is still to come. During psychological evaluation, doctors diagnosed Kaczynski with paranoid schizophrenia. The brilliant mathematician who terrorized America for 18 years was suffering from severe mental illness. January 1998. Rather than face the death penalty, Ted Kaczynski pleads guilty to all charges. He's sentenced to life in prison without possibility of parole. Justice is finally served. Kaczynski is sent to ADX Florence, a supermax prison in Colorado known as the Alcatraz of the Rockies. He spends 23 hours a day in solitary confinement, surrounded by America's most dangerous criminals. But here's the final twist that makes this case truly extraordinary. The man who spent 18 years evading the FBI's most sophisticated investigators was caught not by technology, not by forensic science, but by a brother's love and a wife's sharp eye. In the end, it wasn't advanced computer algorithms or DNA analysis that solved the case. It was the most basic human quality, the ability to recognize someone's unique way of expressing themselves in writing. June 10, 2023. Theodore Kaczynski died by suicide in his prison cell, taking his final secrets to the grave. The Unabomber case remains one of the longest and most complex domestic terrorism investigations in American history. Today, his cabin sits in the FBI museum as a reminder of how one brilliant mind can become corrupted by isolation and ideology. The Unabomber terrorized a nation, but ultimately, love and family loyalty brought him down. If you enjoyed unraveling this mystery, like and subscribe to Sherlock Mode.